you guys, you know, what I want to know, and again, I'm still on this.
It's hard to change. It's hard to change. It's hard to change.
You're dignifying it.
Right.
You know, in a way.
I know where you're going, but I know where you're going, Mike. In order to do that, okay, that we all had to be, you know, on the same page. I remember years ago, Ron might have been in the gym. We were playing a semifinal game at ISA, and Lamar Odom showed up late. I ain't playing. Okay. The problem is that too many guys would have played him. Or there's too many programs now. I mean, it used to be whereas when I started, it was just the Gauchos, there was Riverside, and Dr. Seller. That's really who it was. Now you have a grassroots program in every corner. So now, if you try to discipline, you know, a young man, you try to discipline a young man in doing something, well, he picks up his marbles and he goes across the street. Okay, and this is what it.
So what do you do? Do you let that kid back into your program? Because obviously he's going to realize that he's not going to get from that, you know, mom and pop program which you've been able to offer.
Absolutely, and what ends up
so how do you deal with it?
Well, we have you know certain rules. I can't sit here and tell you that every single time I've said definitely we're not going to take him back, but I would say 8 out of 10 times we have not taken a particular player back. You know, because of some of these things. Sometimes do we? Absolutely. We fall into that trap. But this is why now we have to create certain rules. So now if we create the rules, say, okay, if a young man leaves a program, okay, we'll let him leave once. But once he makes that decision to go on to another program, then that should be it. He should be obligated to be in that program the same way he's obligated for the year to stay in high school. He cannot transfer out of high school for the most part. I mean, correct me guys if I'm wrong. He can't, right?
No.
So why can't it be the same way with that? So we need to create the same rule, because if we do that, then kids won't do that. I mean, there was a particular kid who transferred grassroots program 3 times in 3 weeks. Okay, that's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's getting. I mean, so we have to.
So what do you say to a parent that says to you, okay, now that's your thought. I mean, personally, I'm an AAU coach myself.
This year we said no.
I agree with you.
There was guys who.
What happens when a parent says to you, "That's my child. I can do what I want to do"?
Go ahead, but he can't play here with us, and they're absolutely correct. Huh?
But why?
He can't because he's already transferred here and here. Can't do it anymore.
But not only that, Gary, I think the biggest reason why not is you're providing a service that's being abused. That's what I would think would be the I mean, you, Tiny, Ron. Well, not so much Ron. He's not an AAU coach. You guys got to figure out where the money comes from.
Right.
So if you go on a circuit, and you're doing April, you're doing July, one kid can cost you $6,000–7,000.
You know what the problem, Mike, is that, and Tiny can touch on this also, is this is that the shoe companies give you X amount of money. And I've said to people a long time ago, they're not doing it because we're nice guys. They're doing it because they're hoping that we get the top players and we're going to go out there and go win. So the pressure mounts. Okay, the same way in college. They could sit there, sugarcoat it, you know, however they want to do it, okay? But it's the same thing they do in college. If a college coach get a particular start, next thing you know, he gets a raise. So he's under that pressure. But now what's happening is shoe companies are starting to wake up and are not about to give that same type of money. So now what's going to happen is people are now starting to realize, you know what, we better form a bond. If we don't form a bond, none of this is going to exist. So I think that the next year or so, and I've been saying it for 3 years already, I think the next year or so people are going to say, wow, it is out of hand, and we're about to lose all of this. So, okay, guys, what are we going to do?
Okay, let's get bold. Let's get bold. You know, we've already recognized that we allow children and parents to manipulate programs, manipulate high schools. Don't we all feel used by a sneaker company? Haven't we all been manipulated in some way where a sneaker company is dangling $1 and you hate him and he hates him and he hates him, all for children that aren't even biologically ours?
Yeah, yes and no, because it depends on the individual and what your goal in this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
See, my goal is to use my AU program to enhance maybe some of my kids' chance of getting a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's the reason why I try to get...
You don't feel pressure? At one time, at the height of the madness, with the ABCD camp and Adidas Superstar, and I mean, it was a complete height of madness.
Not really, because I got lucky, you know. I got my...
What about the LeBron James game?
I got lucky because my program was almost handed to me because of my affiliation with Coach Harstein. So I didn't have to dig and fight for a deal. And then I got lucky when Sebastian got there, so it was timing. And then Lance came, so it was timing. So I got lucky, but through my luck, I also wanted to use, you know, what I had for the kids that wasn't that good. And that's what I do all the time. I mean, so if if the shoe company drops the shoe deals and all that, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. But I don't think it's gonna hurt to the fact where we can't be able to get kids to still go to college. Because I think, you know, it might get lessened in terms of the AAU programs, but I think it's going back to the high school programs also, especially with the media
Not the
and
way
so
high school
on.
programs are fighting right now.
That's the reason. That's one of the reasons why high school programs are fighting right now, because out of all my years of coaching basketball, this is the first summer, and I had some players. This is the first summer where I had over 20 college coaches and some head coaches come and see my kids play. And I'm not talking about just Lance Stevenson. So I see is easily whatever's going on the college level is easily merging into the high school level. I mean, I'm more ecstatic now to see him in the gym watching me really coasting on the AAU scene.
Mike,
Before it was different.
It's a cycle.
So we're
Before I got
involved in
in,
the cycle.
yeah,
Yes.
we involved in the cycle
Yes.
because before I got involved, it was high school. But then what was happening is like everything else, to some certain high school people were doing certain things wrong, and that escalated, and the NCAA changed the rules, and that's how AAU, basketball, became powerful. And now you're gonna see slowly the cycle going back, the other way. The only problem is this though.
Is that because the money's drying up?
Couple of things. The only problem is this though. The genie's out the bottle. Okay, so since the genie's out the bottle, the AAU, as you guys want to call them, I call them grassroots, they're not going away.
Right.
Okay.
Can't forget
They're not
grassroots.
grassroots. They're not going away. Okay, they were going to try to find other avenues. Okay, to continue to to succeed. Okay, and this is the part that we were trying to explain to the to the NCAA, in that every action has a reaction. So let's say the shoe company say, you know what, no more money. What do you think is going to happen? The agents or other people are going to come involved and say, okay, you know what, we'll take care of you. We'll get you that money. It's not going away. So we all better come together and figure out that we're all in this together, okay, and not separately. All right. And one remark you said earlier, which is true, and that is this: you can't have 8 guys saying let's do the right thing, and then 2 guys saying, well, I'm doing the wrong thing. It has to be all 10 of us saying, guys, we have to do the right thing. Now, 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have had this attitude, okay, because I was gone ho. I want to get into it, but maturity and age teaches you that, you know what, man, it's not
So
even
what,
worth
you're
it.
fighting over nothing?
You're fighting over no reason. Now,
You're fighting over nothing.
now, last year, the year before, when Lance decided to go to Lincoln because he was a Bishop Lockland and I was close to the Lockland program, and the father called me up. The father called me up and said, hey, Gary, look, listen, we decided we're going to go to Lincoln and things of that nature, okay? But it doesn't mean we're not going to play with the Panthers, because obviously they knew Tiny had, his own program, Juice All-Star. And the father will tell you, I said, no, it's okay, I understand. You're in Coney Island, you're with them. I've been through this with Tiny before. It's okay if you play the Juice All-Star. Everybody knows Lance was going to be a superstar, was a superstar. But having been through this before, it wasn't going to be worth, misunderstanding between Tiny and I and everything else. It's not worth it anymore. Okay, it's getting out of hand. So I said, no, we'll always be friends. You do what you have to do. I understand that. Okay, and that's what a lot of us need to go about doing. And guess what? Gary Charles will continue to succeed. And that's the other thing people forget sometimes. You miss out on one, there'll be someone else out there. You're still going to succeed. If you're doing it the right way, you will be okay. Whether Tiny had Lance or not, all right? Maybe instead of winning 20 games, maybe he wins 19, but he's still going to win. It's the same thing here. And I think a lot of people miss on that. And here's the other major thing here with all this proliferation of team. Everybody seems to think that you're getting rich doing this here.
I was going to touch on that.
No money here.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to think you're getting rich. You know how much money that you laid out.
Right.
The easiest thing you do is when you roll out the basketball.
Right.
But
Right.
people forget that the 12
You gotta
midnight phone
figure out
call,
where the money
you're
comes
getting it,
from.
where the money's coming from, and the parents say, well, I want to go too. So now you're taking care, the parents, also. All this stuff that you laid out. There is no let's get rich scheme here as far as when you do grassroots basketball.
So make it clear, especially you two guys that have been involved so long on a grassroots level, you're not getting paid for a kid. You may get paid to run a program.
Right.
You understand? I run a program.
Right.
I've had a 7th grade parent confront me about where our money is going, because she felt as though anything that was being generated was because of her child. 7th grade. Again, we're back to the culture.
It's the whole culture, what you just
So
said,
let's address this. We have a situation, the whole culture of thinking. We have hundreds of 2008 kids that are very good basketball players. New York's had a very good year this year in terms of kids going to high majors. Okay, How do we get people to understand? I only see 2 pros in the future in New York in the next few years. 2.
Who are they?
But we'll get to that. You know, how do we stop the mindset? You know, someone told me the other day that you have 100 veteran free agents this year. How do you stop the mindset that all of these kids are going to be pros?
I'm glad you asked that. You educate them. When I say them, I mean the families.
They all think it.
But you educate the families on what you just said, because right there was news for me. And I know a lot of veterans that don't have a job. But I don't think the high school level people understand. Like when a kid comes to your school, they got to have a goal. If the goal is the average 20 points, then that can't be part of our program. The goal got to be winning. The goal got to be taking that basketball and find out what you want to do in life with this basketball. Because that's what we all doing right now. I mean, I'm the reason why I'm sitting here is because of basketball, not because of anything else.
How do we deal with this though? Ron, Gary, Tiny, how do we deal with this? Kids are working out in the 6th grade, not for high school. Kids are working out in the 6th grade, not for college. They're working out to go to the pros.
Like,
how do you deal with it?
You know, I've been making this funny remark lately for past year, telling people that the way we're going, people are going to go stand in the hospital. Baby's going to come out, they're going to slap in the behind, they're going to say, let's go. Because that's where this thing is going. So you absolutely right. I think one of the things that we have to do is we have to be able to get maybe some ex-players from all our programs come in and speak to our kids. When we used to run ABCD, one of my jobs was to speak to like future pros, the counselors, and bring them in. And one of the things I used to try to educate them on is that the average player, I'm not talking about the Michael Jordan and the Charles Barkley, but the average player, 4.5 years. That's the average player. So which means even if you graduate out of college at 23, at 27, 28, you're done. What do you
The average player that's good enough to make it.
Exactly, to even make it. I'm just talking about just the average, exactly. And that you have a better shot. If you line up, you have a better shot of becoming a neurosurgeon than you do a pro. You can line up a kid from here all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, and only one kid in that line is going to make it. That's not Gary Charles that's making that. Those are just the facts.
This is why I call it all a crisis situation. Why do I call it a crisis situation? From a sociological and psychological aspect. It was almost like when we had the crack epidemic of '85. It was an epidemic. But as social workers understood that those kids were going to one day be 16, 17 years old, and that they were going to be sociological problems for society. They saw that early on. They knew that crime would escalate the way that it has, because babies were born positive crack.
Right.
So now you bring the basketball situation into this equation. We have hundreds of kids believing with all their heart that they're going to make the NBA. When they don't, what's going to happen?
Mike,
how are we going to deal with that mass?
Mike, you know, there is no easy answer. The only thing you can do is tiny message. You have to continue to educate them, because you know what? It may not hit all of them, but it's going to hit 2 or 3 kids when you make those statements. You have to continue to educate. Like one of the things that we do is like when we bring our guys in, I have no problem saying, look, here's what I see in your future. Here's what we see in your future. At the end of the summer, we bring every kid in one at a time, and we tell them, look, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you need to improve. Here's where we see you. I don't try to sugarcoat it or what have you, because you know what, Mike? No matter what, Gary Charles got to wake up on Monday morning and go to his 9 to 5.
Exactly.
Okay? It's been 20 years. I've been doing this for 20 years, and for 20 years I've been working on Wall Street. I've not quit that job yet. Okay? Because that's my bread and butter. So if I tell a kid you're a pro, you're not a pro, it's not going to change the fact that I still got to, wake up. So that's the only thing we can do right now, because some people, no matter what you tell them, they really believe their kid is going to be a pro. They are a pro, and no matter what you say to them, that part just doesn't change.
All right, I'm glad you asked that question, because not too long ago, I was thinking the same thing. I had a call from one of the guys I work for with Adidas, and he asked me to help him look for another AAU program. So I was thinking, I was like, wow, we don't need another AAU program. So I said, what about sponsoring some high school, some guys that I know who really care about the kids going to college more than less kids going to pros. So, and I asked him about the idea, and he helped me do it. And right now I'm sponsoring wings and in Jefferson, and people say, you sponsoring Jefferson, they your competition. They my competition for getting the kids to go to college. That's my competition, and that's great competition.
Remember that point, Wings and Jefferson.
Now,
We'll get back to that later.
So, I mean, if and I go back to the high schools, not to knock the AAUs, because like I said, the AAU is the reason why I'm sitting here.
Grassroots.
Grassroots is the reason why we sitting here right now, because it helps us out tremendously. But for the shoe companies and the organizations and the NBA guys, maybe we need to give back to the high schools. Now, it's kind of hard to give back to the high schools because there's so many high schools. But there's people that you can give back to that are doing a hard job and really care about the kids going to college.
You have that even on the grassroots level.
You really do.
I'm
a grassroots guy who identify that.
You do have that.
So we have some grassroots guys who can give back to certain high schools that probably got these coaches that really care about the kid going to college and not care about the kid going to NBA or not care about to make that high school or AAU team. Then we could win in that situation.
You know what? I remember Gary DeCesar. Gary DeCesar, I thought, was the first guy who was doing both sides. And Gary hated, grassroots basketball. And then he came on. And we came on and he said to me, you know what? Now I have newfound respect for you guys. Because the perception of you all out there doing the wrong thing, but you're not. All right? And I really appreciate what Gary said. So he understood just exactly, what we were going through. Now, Tiny made a very good point in touching with the shoe companies, in that the shoe companies are the first one to say, hey, you know what? They want to make sure they don't miss out on the kids. So they go out there and give more money to other programs. And he said, well, we don't need more. Right. And we went through this with Reebok, in which, like, as a matter of fact, Reebok only had two here in New York, which was the Panthers and the Lightning with Dane and Dingle, because they agreed that, listen, enough is enough. And years ago, I brought that up. Like, why is it that we don't help high school more? Okay, why is it that we just don't do that? But you know what? And the shoe company was straight up say, hey, this is a business. We're just trying to get the stud. They didn't lie to me about it. They were straight up and said, this is why we do this. So we can't look at them to try to help us resolve this, because they made their point clear. Okay, we have to get together among ourselves to try to resolve it. And I think we're gonna end up doing it whether we like it or not, because of the fact that a lot of us are gonna get cut. Okay.
Right. Which brings me to another point. As I indicated, I also run an AAU program. I deal with a lot of younger kids, and we try to carry them as far as we can. The groups that we have now, all things considered, all things go right, we'll probably take them, until the point that they graduate. Okay, so we talk about the sneaker companies and any type of financial assistance that they can give to AAU programs or with high schools. Here in New York, most, I don't know the percentage, but it has to be in the 90s, AAU players are African American. We can kind of agree on that. Why is it that there's no support from the community? I mean, I've never gotten, well, when we started the Team Next program, there were two churches that helped me out in the African American community. But from that time to this, any penny that has come in has been non-African American. People, they sit back, they watch the news, they want to complain about the shootings, they want to complain about the drug dealing. You've put many people in college. We know many people going to college out of the Panther program. We know many people going to college out of the Juice program. Why can't you get money from the community?
Mike, it's amazing. Like you said it before, and that is to change the mindset of people, because they think we're rich. See, they think we have plenty of money, that we don't need any money. Now, at the Panthers program, there has been 15 players who are either in the pros or have played in the pros. And out that group, I would say maybe 2 or 3 have contributed some sort of finance, to the program. If these guys who came through your program and know what you went through, if they think you have money, what do you think the rest of the community think? They think you really are loaded, have plenty of money. Mm-hmm. And that's, that's part of the issue.
Some don't even get to the point where they're going to think about what you have. They just don't contribute.
Right. When you play,
that's a problem.
I don't know when you play, but when I played,
it's all again.
I think back in the days when I played, I think it was called PBC, Police Boys Club. It wasn't PAL, right? We had to go around and door to door, sell candy, get donations, things of that nature. Try doing that now.
It doesn't happen.
These kids will look at you like you're out of your mind.
What bothers me, and we're going to drift and we're going to come back. But, I'm very serious about the issues that's going on. I'm very concerned about African American kids, Jewish kids. I have concern. I'm concerned because the leaders, especially in the African American community, seem to be marching for causes that don't even have anything to do with the big picture. The picture that they can help the youth, they're ignoring. I've never seen any marches or any fundraisers attended by celebrity figures to help out any program or any kid. Okay, say you don't want to help a Michael Moore, or Ron DeClary, or Gary Charles, or Tiny Morton. Fine. There's a lot of kids that don't even have sneakers. There's a lot of kids that may want to go on a trip with a program that's not even funded. We have millionaires coming out of the African American community, be it through music, other type of professional careers, sports.
But here's the other
you
thing,
name it.
like, if you notice now, way back when, you might have had the Muhammad Ali's who spoke up on a lot of things. Now, a lot of these guys, especially the athletes, are more worried about the image and sponsorship and don't want to come out and say anything because they don't want to lose any money. And that's also, an issue. If you just take a look at it just across the board, no one wants to say anything. But here's another issue. The NCAA received $3 billion, like on a 5-6 year contract. You mean to tell me that they couldn't have taken some of that money and donated across the country to the high schools? That was one of the things that I brought up to the NCAA one time when I met with them. I said, what's the problem with the $3 billion? You receive $3 billion. You can't take $1 million or $2 million, put it out there in each state, and have the school affiliation, what have you, divvy that up among the schools who really need it. What is the problem with that? Because these are the kids. These kids are making you get this contract. Okay, there's a bigger issue here. All right, everyone's forgetting about the guys here, and the NCAA is putting out there like we're doing wrong. Okay, but they sit there and they say, but these kids are getting the education, and that's what it's all about. What about the $3 million that they're making, off these players? No one ever says anything about
Gary,
that.
Well, I want to add something about, first of all, unfortunately, a lot of these people that end up making it, somebody gave them a break somewhere along the line. I mean, I don't know anybody that's made it without somebody believing they're giving a break. And what seems to happen now with a lot of these basketball players, they've been pampered for so long. They've always gotten something, whether it be sneakers, a free meal, a free trip. And it's really sad because I call it the pizza pie philosophy. I'll have a pizza pie. I'll give you a slice. Tomorrow I'll get a pie. I'll give you a slice. Every day I'm getting a pie. I'm giving you a slice, 2 slices, 3 slices. Sometimes I'll give you the whole pie. Now all of a sudden, a couple of years go by. I don't have any more pizza pies. You get the pie, and you won't even give me the crust.
I need that.
And that's what's going on. That's really, what's going on there.
It's about the culture of thinking.
Like, I think Jimmy Stam will probably do the best job of all of us as far as educating his future pros about needing help, because his players give back. They give back. So he starts that real young. And I remember a long time ago, I used to try to avoid that because I didn't want any parents thinking that I was trying to do this, I was trying to do that. But Jimmy's got it right. Jimmy's got it right.
Here's what Jimmy has going for him. Jimmy is virtually unchallenged in Jersey. He's the power.
And he knows it because we talked about it. You're absolutely right.
He's the powerful source of basketball in Jersey. Okay, you don't play with Jimmy Solomon and you reside in Jersey, you probably won't get the exposure that you need. Okay? So a kid starts out at Jimmy when he's 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. He leaves his program at 17 or 18. A kid starts with you at 14, he may be with Tiny at 15. The relationship and development and the know of each other is just not there.
Yeah, but let me say something. When you see Jimmy, you see parents, and you don't see single parents. You see 2-parent households.
You know why, though, right?
I can't say it's a geographic thing.
It
but
could
Part
might
of it,
be.
but that's part of it. You understand?
yeah.
That too,
You don't want to
yeah.
say it. You don't want to
Yeah,
say it,
but-
but that's part of
So
it.
how
Could be an
come we-
educational
so
thing
We
too.
need to
Exactly.
fix our,
Yeah.
we need to fix our problem over here.
See, the problem you have also is that when you get
And we're
kids and
talking to Jimmy
teenagers,
Solomon. We need to identify him.
Yeah,
Jimmy
but-
Solomon of the Players Basketball Program, who is doing a wonderful job over there.
you know what it
I'm
is
sorry.
too. When you get kids that are teenagers, you sometimes it's almost impossible to change them. Stuff that's been ingrained 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, the hardest thing to correct is a bad habit. And if you have a parent that doesn't teach the kid right from wrong, or they were brought up incorrect, now they're going to teach people incorrect. You have a monster problem. I mean, if a kid is screwing up in high school academically, 99% of the time he was screwing up in junior high and elementary.
Right.
He wasn't all of a sudden a 99 student. All of a sudden now he's screwing up.
Wow, that's a great point. I remember one year we went out to LA, the tournament, right? And we had this player we had been working out with for 2 months. And he made a couple mistakes on the floor, called a timeout, and I'm just like bawling this kid out. That actually was happening, bawling him out. The kid takes off his shirt. I had it, you know, whatever. We're in LA. I said, go ahead.
I think this was racial.
No, well, that's a different story. I said, go ahead, quick. We're in LA. Where you going, right? So we start the second half. I don't see the kid. We don't see the kid at all, right? The game is over. We won the game. So now I'm like, where's this kid at? And one of his friends pulled me to the side because I'm ready to go crazy on this kid once I see him. And he said to me, you gotta understand something. This kid come from East New York. His father died, okay, by getting shot 3 times. His mother was on crack and just got killed. He's now living in a house with his brothers who sell drugs, okay? This kid has a whole lot of issues. And sometimes we forget those things. And I think it's what Tiny was touching on, that what Jimmy gets and what we get are most of the time
Two different extremes.
2 different extremes.
But then you put that kid in a Catholic school system, and you think he's supposed to have 4 easy years.
Right.
Until 1 year or 2 years, he can't take it no more. And there's an outburst.